So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This is Matthew Media alongside my critic companion in crime, Ricardo and I.
Hello.
And this is our first for 2020 episode of Retrospect Reviews. And for those who are new to this is essentially where we look back at a movie or an album, preferably a hip-hop album, technically 10, 15, 20, 25, and go on, if you get the idea, years ago. And we just kind of critique it, kind of look back at it, talk about how it resonated with us in our respective lives, and if it holds up now, even though sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? So in this case, we had to flip a coin because essentially there were two films that we were to talk about initially, right? But it's interestingly enough, they are different, but they are similar in in some unique ways, right? So it was The Last Dragon, the cult classic from 1985, and Romeo Must Die from 2000. So we flipped a coin, and it was like, well, yeah, Romeo Must Die. Clearly because, we remember when Romeo Must Die came out in 2000. We remember how big a deal it was back then. I actually saw this in theaters. I believe you did as well. And, it was just the show. Just while I was watching this movie, because, yes, I recapped it, to do this review here. I was like, yes, I remember how big a deal it was and how it was like, yes, you kind of had to see the show now, you know what I mean?
They were playing Try Again every 5 minutes on the radio in the 2000s.
I know, yes. Try Again, which was a big song for the movie, which was done by the late, great Aaliyah, who makes her debut film appearance in this movie here. And what makes it quite interesting here, and this is what we're going to lead into, is that this is the second Hollywood film to feature, well, one of my, I could say, movie icons growing up in the 90s, Jet Li. This was his second film appearance in a Hollywood film.
That was
one being the really underwhelming Lethal Weapon 4, which I was too young to see because it came out in 1997. I was now in secondary school actually, so I was like 1 year or so shy from being able to see it. But I saw it later on local TV, and I was like, wait, that's it? That's a big deal? Jet Li only had like one line, I think it was, in Hong Kong, you'd already be dead. And the story itself was just so flimsy, and you could just tell that everybody, I mean Joe Pesci, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, they were all too old for this shit, you know what I mean? Just basically from the movie. It just felt painfully old and by the numbers, and Jet Li being there was just like, okay, well, what's the point, you know what I mean? So
the final battle with the two of them versus him was kind of badass, but that was about it.
Yeah, it was. I'll give it that. Yeah. But what went down is that, well, great producer Joel Silver wanted, Jet Li to star in Romeo Must Die. But first, it was some kind of deal or something like that. I just read it off of Wikipedia. So if I'm wrong, you can let me know. He had to do Lethal Weapon 4 first. And at the time, he wasn't that versed in English, which carries over into Romeo Must Die, which is why, he did speak, but not that much, right? But before we get to Romeo Must Die, I just want to talk about, the man himself, Jet Li, what he meant to me. So, I've said this before, I am a huge fan of martial arts films, right? And I would never forget, in the 90s, there was this boom of, martial art films that came out from, I believe it was this company called Golden Harvest. I don't know whatever happened. What happened to that group? To that studio.
Yeah, I wanted to just get into, to me, it was I won't want to say necessarily apotheosis, but it was a kind of culmination of, quote unquote, black culture and Asian American culture kind of mixing.
Yeah.
Why that was, there's a whole pattern going back since, effectively the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
I know 2 points about why does black people like martial arts, Asian stuff so much, and well, now in today's generation, anime.
Yeah.
And how come black people love themselves on anime? Like, admit that.
It's true. As I say that, recent article actually today at Times Recording, I saw this. The big wrestling trio, the New Day, actually voted Dragon Ball Z as the best anime ever.
They constantly dress up and cosplay as them. Yeah, I love those guys. No, but I was just thinking about what it is about a lot of Asian culture that black culture, especially black American culture, got into so heavily. since since the time of Bruce Lee himself,
Exactly. Yeah.
or even before that. I always think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a student of Bruce Lee.
Yes.
What's this guy named Jim Brown? What's the guy's name? Was he one of
Oh gosh, Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly? Sorry, yeah.
He was the sole black guy. Sorry, not the sole black guy. He was the
Right.
black martial artist in Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
Right. And just thinking about, and I'm on 2 cents about that. Like what it is with black people in Asia. I think what it is that I'm just kind of pet, kind of geopolitical, kind of perspective, historical kind of take on the matter. That because black diaspora has been entirely defined by Europe and America, and effectively being an underclass, or at least being somewhat revered as an underclass. But Asia never had that history with us, so we never had a history with Asia. There's very few of us travel to Asia. The idea of like a black samurai is like a super rare thing. I mean, you have like 2, 3 examples of black people going to Japan before 1900s, for example. Yasuke, right? That is the only people could say off the top of their head, right?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about how just the idea of what defines black people. That is in a sense a kind of weird fresh start, in a sense, like moving to Africa. Because right now I'm doing like a lot of studying of people, black people in Asian countries and what their experiences are.
Right.
And it's like a totally different experience. To them it's just a life. It's not a history. It's not a toxic history, right? European history is toxic. American history is very toxic. That I don't know how to. Yeah, that's all. Just my 2 cents on that, and just to see now why that even the word Africa is a kind of poison word, right? It's still a kind of a weird word on its own that is specifically Roman and European itself. And I'm just thinking about how that reset is kind of playing itself out, and why does we embrace the Asian stuff? I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, not to say that Asia not racist or anything like that, but it's only because of European influence in itself, people would argue. And then the history of anime and representation come out reasonably well as well. It have a lot of great black anime characters. Like that's something that
definitely. Mm-hmm.
Plays out. Yes, it have a lot of black stereotypes in anime, but it was never to the degree of bothering people. Like, I mean, you have characters like Mr. Popo or something like that.
Yeah. I don't remember that character. Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's still not something that they stick in the same way, or play out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It never had that really pathological connotation. Even though it is, the imagery is roughly the same. I don't know. And then this stuff just kind of play out and culminate in again Bruce Lee, Tower of Death, Enter the Dragon,
Game of Death.
Sorry, that. Thank you.
Even though it was a tower-like, sequence, basically. You know what I mean?
Yes, Game of Death. Yes, thank you for correcting me. And then to me the 90s it kind of hit. Well, of course we have we boys in the Wu-Tang Clan, and then in Hollywood it hit with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. That's where it kind of starts, right?
Right. Well, I will. Okay, so I'll just use all that basically as a segue, right? So you're absolutely right. With the 70s, with Bruce Lee, and his impact, on film, well, with Eastern film, right? And then of course with the breakout hit Enter the Dragon in 1973, which unfortunately was the last film that he made before he passed away now. But yeah, you're right. In terms of having the Jim Kelly, who was a karate expert at the time, right? And him being not front and center, but him being a side character in the show, clearly impacted, African Americans at that time, right? From there it's like, oh, I want to be like Jim Kelly or whatnot, even though it's sad that his career never went off as far as it should, but still, from there, other, basically martial arts always had a place in blaxploitation. Like, I'll never forget with Superfly, which came out a year before. Superfly was learning karate, right? And you'd always have like a little karate thing going on, a little punch in the camera, blah blah blah, right? But point is, after the success of Enter the Dragon, you had stuff like Dolomite, where Rudy Ray Moore was teaching these girls how to fight and all that kind of stuff there. So it was like, we it's part of it. But because of, like the local theater, you know what I mean? And of course, like what, in the States, Channel 5, where you have access to see, these old school now, martial arts films. Yeah, that kind of just permeated into African American culture. And from there, of course, that's where the Wu-Tang started from, you know what I mean? Just
Right.
watching these films and learning their ideologies and stuff like that. So in our case though, we weren't born in the 70s, so we didn't really know about the impact of Bruce Lee till after the fact. You know what I mean? He was just
Right.
a part of culture by the time we
Yeah.
grew up.
Yeah.
One
Because
great
me,
example is, Family Matters. Steve
right.
Urkel had one of his
Right.
uh, one of his um, one of his
Transformations. Yeah.
personas, was a Bruce Lee character. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, the 80s, the only real like martial arts stuff that I was exposed to in terms of popular culture was the 80s and ninja culture. Like another ninja
Yes.
shit
Yes.
was,
Yes. Yeah.
and well, the Ninja Turtles themselves, right? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah. But
that's about it. And then, well, karate and karate class was super popular in the 90s. I never actually went to it myself. My cousin and all my friends used to go to that shit. And yeah, that shit. And then, well, right, and
I
stuff
had
like that.
friends who went to that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to go. I feared I'd like bust my leg and like get serious injuries there. But you're right though.
yeah,
In the 80s, with the ninja boom and this thing about karate and characters being able to fight. So you had like Karate Kid and all that jazz, right? But with
yeah,
us now, Ricardo and I, it was the 90s, right? So from then we had like, it was the Van Dams, it was the Steven Seagals, all that kind of stuff,
right,
right? So we didn't really see that much like Asian representation until like say Brandon Lee and Rapid Fire and stuff like that, right? But
right.
then that was around that time. No, that was when I was introduced to, well, before we get to Jet Li, to Jackie Chan, because to me, well, he
Right.
was kind of the first the Asian actor, well, I should say martial artist during that time to really break it out, to really break through in terms of like Hollywood popularity then. But he did back in the 80s, right? But we didn't know that till like we dug into his filmography because he started a little film called The Protector, and he didn't like how the process of that works. So he went back to Hong Kong and he did, the classic Police Story 1 and 2. But
Right.
he went back to the States again and he did Rumble in the Bronx, which came out in 95.
Yeah.
And, that blew up. And from there, it was like, okay, well, we have the next big superstar, right?
Also, another thing is the big factor, well, mentioned in Wu-Tang Clan is the whole, the popularity of, well, just general Asian cinema in the ghetto. It's
Yes,
Trinidad.
yes.
But
Yeah.
we like I know a lot of people. I have a lot of American, like my cousins, don't know who Jet Li was at all until relatively recently. Speaking at the time, this was 98, and I was like, yeah, but Jet Li was like super popular here for years. Chinese films that came around, and I probably would credit it to, well, our local Chinese population. We have a very vibrant Chinese population.
Yes.
So they're being demonized for all this bullshit going down, sadly, and I would argue a lot of that is because of that, that stuff coming down in and these relatively cheap movies being delivered across now.
Yeah.
Like Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest stuff didn't spread in Hollywood for some reason. Like that's something that never take off except when black inner city.
Yes. Which is quite interesting though, because like those movies were like, of course, they were hits in Hong Kong and stuff like that, but like in Hollywood, you know what I mean? It was like we don't know what these shows are, you know what I mean? It's just with film clubs and just just people who just were more intrigued, wanted to learn more about Hong Kong action cinema and stuff like that. That's where they discovered the Shaw Brothers movies. You know what I mean? The 36 Chambers, Shaolin.
Yeah.
The earlier Bruce Lee movies like The Big Boss and Chinese Connection, stuff like that. But cut to the 90s now, and with the success of Rumble in the Bronx. But I remember before that, there were Jet Li films that came out that were showing in theaters.
Like,
And I don't know what happened though, because I know a majority of those films were for all ages, right? But for some reason, I just never saw any of them till, well, I'll talk about one in particular that I saw in 2000, but we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, go on.
But for me, Tai Chi, right?
That's it. But yeah, because I remember, I remember when Tai Chi. Well, okay, well, the American title fit now is Twin Warriors, right?
Right.
So that's how you'll know it now. But back in '93, it was called Tai Chi, and I
Yeah.
remember how big that movie was. I remember trailers just running endlessly on TV,
Yeah.
and I was like, holy shit, I have to see this. But I was still in primary school and I don't know what happened, but I just never got to see it till
No,
in
I saw it.
2000.
I saw it when
Well,
I was well. You and I grew up in Arima, Windsor, right?
yeah.
Um,
Well, I eventually saw it in Windsor.
I saw it in Windsor, and I was blown away how fucking awesome that shit was, dude. Like Bo Jet Li and Michelle Yao,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, no,
amazing.
that movie is a bona fide classic. Like, if you
Classic.
haven't seen this movie, you have to.
Yeah,
It is amazing, right? But the funny thing is, I did not see when it came out in '93. I saw it
right,
in 2000, ironically, when there was a next era as far as these Hong Kong action cinema movies go with Crouching
right,
Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because that was a
right,
double. Yeah,
right,
and well, the impact of that, and then well,
right.
Wuxia, got a
Yeah,
resurgence with that film. You know what I mean? But it was
yeah,
ironic that the same stuff that they were doing with the fireworks and stuff like that, that I was blown
yeah.
away as a kid, finally got the attention of mainstream Hollywood with Crouching
Right,
Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? So that's
right.
interesting. Yeah.
I was exposed, right. So the thing is, my uncles and my dad were really into Jackie. They prefer Jackie over Jet Li by far, like to them, because they grew up on Jackie in particular. And I the thing is, I was exposed to, well, with through the magic of something called VHS.
Uh-huh.
I saw a lot of early Jackie as well, and to me, I always prefer Jackie personally over Jet Li, mostly because just the sheer showmanship and insanity that Jackie put himself through.
I know,
Um,
right?
the set pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how
a lot of
comical he made them look to it.
right, right, and then so Romilly Bunks was like late. So I had a lot of like cousins in America who didn't know Jackie Chan, who didn't know who Jackie Chan was. Like, yeah, you serious? Like, just watch his shit. He's like amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time Jet Li came stateside, um, it was a kind of a big deal. It's like, holy shit, Jet Li actually in a movie. And so the culmination of everything coming up to, the 90s, and well, there's a little film that influenced, we have to mention it because it was a movie that came out a year prior, and it hit like a nuclear bomb on cinema, on world cinema, not only American cinema, The Matrix.
Yes.
Right.
Of course, with the fight choreography from the great Yuan Wu Ping, who has worked on films like, Jackie Chan's Drunken Master or
Yes.
Jet Li's Fist of Legend, still one of the best movies he's ever started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so by the time that came out, and everybody was like, all right, well, there's a thing now. So the next year, I remember just being so super hyped for just seeing the trailer. I was like, wait, DMX and Jet Li in a movie, Dread?
I know, right? Which they would end up, capitalizing on again with the guilty pleasure of a movie, Cradle to the Grave. It's still one of my big guilty pleasure movies, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so just the sheer hype, it was just a kind of perfect confluence of events. Aaliyah was like, everybody's princess at that time.
Yes, yes.
Just having that come together and play itself out. And they did a thing in Hollywood that was a big subversion that I hope to mention, which is the idea of a Black female romantic lead and an Asian male romantic lead, which is two things that you never fucking see in Hollywood.
That is right.
That was a big deal too.
Yeah, it was. It really, really was though. And touching on that too. Well, yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. As you bring up something, it reminds me of something, so we'll just kind of play off each other. What the interesting, well, as I bring up that, right, the thing that interested me about, well, this movie here, Romeo Must Die, was of course the title, right? Because if you remember, well, 4 years ago we had Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, right? Which I never saw because, well, I don't know, I was just too young at the time. But I remember back in '96 how big a deal that movie was. It was Leonardo DiCaprio, it was Claire Danes, it was Romeo and Juliet story, but they're wielding guns. And it was like later on, it was like this weird kind of modernization of the classic play, right? But what's so interesting about the movie, right? Let's talk it quickly about it, right? Because I saw it like years after on local TV. And I don't know how they got away with it, but I had to give credit where credit is due. They kept the original dialogue in it, right?
Like, yeah. That was
talking pure like Shakespearean, and the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, and people still found that movie a hit to them. Like people still love this movie, but it's like, oh, they understand what they're saying in this.
That's a total like Pasolini move now, because it was like, okay, so Pasolini still he did the Gospel according to Saint Matthew, which is what still the best Jesus movie ever in my opinion. Don't at me. And what was so special about that film is that everything was in scripture. He didn't write anything. That was written new dialogue. Just everything was according to scripture. That's how they did it. And I remember when that film came out, I was like, oh yeah, that was like a big deal. And I remember thinking back at it, just knowing film now. I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's why they kind of did it in that film history stuff now. I don't know any other movie that do that. Like this whole borrowing from the direct text and not writing new text and then making it work.
Right.
I think probably like Coriolanus did that, maybe. That's the only thing I could think of.
Okay. I don't not familiar with that show.
Like Ray Fiennes. Ray Fiennes played like is another Shakespeare story. Came out 2000 when? Recent. I don't look it up.
I should look it up. Yeah. But yeah, so when you hear Romeo Must Die, of course, instantly you're thinking, oh shit, this is a Romeo and Juliet story. And then when you saw the trailers, you saw Jet Li and Aaliyah, you're thinking, okay, it's black against Chinese, and they're the two that in the middle and in love and all that kind of stuff. But it's only when you actually see the show, it's like, well, it's kind of loosely inspired by it, but it's not like a direct remake of Romeo and Juliet, which works because at least they're not trying to do the Baz Luhrmann thing again. But at the same time, I know it was kind of underwhelming because, like, well, you kind of look at the title. I mean, come on, look at the title, right? But anyway, one last thing I just want to mention before we get to the show itself is, well, as I mentioned, Aaliyah, the music itself that supported this film. This was in the late, from 99 to 2000. So this was where, like Rough Riders were, on top. You know what I mean? So artists like DMX, producers like Swiss Beats, Deluxe, Jadakiss, Chic Luke, Style Speed, they were on top. You know what I mean? Their music were big, right? Yeah. And then also with the producer, Timbaland, well, him and, co-producer / singer / rapper / awesome woman all together, Missy Elliott, right? And how their music pretty much shaped, the last few years of the 90s, right? Of course, they did music for movies like Dr. Dolittle. If you remember, Are You That Somebody, which is performed by Aaliyah, you could not escape that song. That boom, 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 boom. That was in your brain, like circulated for like 24 hours straight. You could not escape that. So yeah, hip hop was at the evolution of hip hop was was quite fascinating right there, and out of that we got the R&B songstress Aaliyah, right? So it's like this could work, people gonna see Jet Li actually lead a film, and we're gonna have Aaliyah in her debut feature. So yeah, cool. We had to see this, and DMX is in it, right? Which you'll talk about in a bit, right? And last thing I just want to say about Aaliyah before we actually get to the show is that, the unfortunate side of things, though, is that this would be the first of the only 2 films that she ever worked on. The second one was the very, very, very underwhelming Queen of the Damned, which I remember seeing in theaters. And quick story about it. I remember having like back in the days I used to rock Discman. I used to have a Discman. So I remember coming in there with Discman, I was normally walking in when I'm going out now. And I say, okay, if this show is shit, I'm gonna just put on my headphones, just listen to music. After the first 10 minutes of the movie, I realized, this movie can't be shit. I was just listening to music throughout the entirety of the show. I could not get into that. Yeah, I remember being so underwhelmed by this movie, and this is because this was like the direct sequel to Interview with the Vampire, right? So I was like, okay, we do the Lestat thing again, all right, cool, but I hate the actor that he got to play Lestat, who was, let me see quickly, who was Stuart Townsend. Terrible choice. Aaliyah was this kind of weird, Egyptian vampire, and she did all this kind of belly dancing kind of movements, and like I get what they were trying to go for, like she's trying to be all like seductive and stuff, but it was just a slog. It was just a downright waste of time, though. But what I say all this too is because this came out a year after, unfortunate demise, though. You know what I mean? After she did the video for Rock the Boat and the plane that she was in, which I'll bring up in this review here. Crashed her basically, and she died.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing is, it's one of those cases where to me it was just the movie clearly wasn't finished. That is what it was, because she died. Yeah. So they had to shoot with what they had. And that is why they really come down too hard on the film. But yeah, the movie sucked.
It was. Jesus Christ, it sucked. Anyway, so let's finally get into Romeo Must Die, right? So we're not gonna go through every single thing about the movie, but just because we haven't seen this show in a long while. I mean, this is like what 20 years since it came out, and yes, we have. Well, in my case, I have seen it a couple times, like on cable. I think TNT, like if TNT still exists, used to show it like a lot. But other than
Yeah.
that, I haven't seen this movie in a long while, right? So one thing I
Right.
dug just right off the bat is the intro. I actually do like the intro text sequence. I think it's dope. You see the Chinese text, superimposed, and you see the interpretation show up and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was like really dope. Man. And then you got this really dope DMX song to kind of set the tone, and it was really cool. It was really cool, right? So from here we introduced to we just kind of go into this casino, right? And we introduce his character Poe, right? And from here we know that he's just kind of cocky, Chinese, gangster type basically, right? And then we have another guy named Kai who is there, who is played by Russell Wong, sorry. And he
Right.
just they're like, watch yourself now, you know what I mean? Because he ends up picking a fight. Well, about to pick a fight with this black guy who works at the casino now. And it true corny, like this is like one of the kind of cheesy moments in the film where characters try to sound larger than life now. So the guy coming in and saying,
Amazing Grace.
Excuse me?
My grandmother used to sing that song to me.
That's real nice.
I especially like the part that goes, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Take you, for instance. You have got to be a fool to roll up in here, man. But I figure you must be lost.
is that kind of vibe like, dog, like just chill, like just take it easy though, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But Kai ends up picking up fight with the guy, a little fight scene takes place. I'll never forget this, so like when you see the trailer for it and then you saw the music video for Try Again, they all show this one shot. And this is where Kai goes in the air, right? Literally spins, kicks that guy, and then spins around still in mid-air and kicks another guy down. I never
Right.
forget, like the first time you see it, it's like, wait, this real man. And then when you think about this, like, but clearly
You know,
he holding on to something though, but we don't see
right.
what it is. His hands are out of the shirt there, but it's how it looked there, you know what I mean? So yes, it's wire work that they're using there, but still, we never really stopped to ask how did he do this, right? And that's one gripe I have with the fight choreography in this, well, the wire work in this. Characters do stuff, they spin around the air, but you don't really know how or why, right? But anyway,
Right.
so fight takes place, everybody pull out guns, and then, we boy DMX comes in, and he gives probably the best speech in the whole movie with,
Guns don't kill people. People kill people. For example, these two guys with the machine guns. If they start blasting off, ain't none of y'all going home. Now, you guys are disturbing my business. So if your ass ain't black, you better get up out of here before it really get hot.
I remember seeing that for the first time. I was like, what the? This real? It was DMX and, it was, the roughness that we know about him now, you know what I mean? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I just always remember that scene though. Like now when you look at
Right.
it, it's kind of corny, but oh my gosh, in terms of setting up this character, it's like, yeah, this man, real dread, right?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
cut to like, outside now and, Kai chastising Poe is like, dog, well, why, your dad won't like you doing this. And like, I next up, you know what I mean? So I'll be talking to me like this. So anyway, cut
Yeah.
to next scene and Poe is found hung. Actually, like somebody just straight up hang this guy, like lynch him basically,
Yeah.
right? Which is really, really fucked up when you think about it. But when you're thinking about the whole black and Chinese, black and Asian, contrast basically, it's kind of interesting that they would do that, you know what I mean? But anyway, so from there now we are introduced to the character of Isaac, who is played by Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to that guy. I know he has started in other films, but I don't know. That man just like disappeared. Like, where is he, right?
So he did a movie, another movie with Jet Li, which was pretty badass in my opinion. Remember the multiverse movie?
Oh yes, you like the one?
The one, yeah. I like that movie. It's very silly, but I liked it.
is because of the silliness that held it back. One, it was clearly because yes, for those who don't know, Jet Li was signed up to. Well, he was considered to be in the Matrix.
Right.
Well, the Matrix Reloaded actually, and he refused. He refused to be in Project Tiger Hidden Dragon. But
Right.
point is, the one was like this Matrix ripoff there, because he's essentially
Right.
with Jet Li with all these Matrix like powers and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It was just so silly. And it had
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines from Jet Li, which is, "I am nobody's bitch." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I,
Yeah,
I,
but
I, remember, I remember when I thought I thought it. The movies are best, but I had fun with it.
I remember the big sell in the movie was Jet Li versus Jet Li, because yes, you had
Right.
good Jet Li fighting
Yeah,
bad
the
Jet
only
Li.
person.
It's a long story, but
Right.
it was silly. It was really, really silly. It's one of those like so bad it's
I
good kind of movies.
I find you can remake that Ego Waste or some man.
Yeah, that show definitely needs a remake. It definitely does.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. So Delroy Lindo plays Isaac. And essentially he's this businessman who is involved in this deal with these.
Right.
Well, they come off as Jewish, although they look white in my opinion. But whatever. Essentially, they're trying to buy out these properties at this waterfront to build a stadium, basically, right? So he's involved in that, and he had a shady past, so he just trying to be all legit with this venture. Now.
Yeah.
Assisting him, we have Mac, who is played by another guy who I haven't seen in a long while, Isaiah Washington.
Right.
Essentially, he's like the not so much he's not so much the enforcer, but he's just the guy who does jobs for Isaac. Then yeah, essentially he's that. He wouldn't hesitate to pull out a gun. He wouldn't hesitate to kill a guy if it comes to that, right? But yeah.
Yeah. I think so I haven't seen Isaiah Washington since Grey's Anatomy. Because when we got kicked off of that show.
Oh yeah, he was in that, right?
Yes. I think he was okay. He's in a show. I'm now looking up. He was in a show that I didn't. I never watched by here 2K. He was in the 100.
Oh yeah. I was meaning to watch that actually.
I never get into it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so Isaac gets a call. He finds out that that Pooh got killed. So he meets.
Right.
He eventually meets with Chu, Chu Singh, basically, right? That's the main gang guy, right? He's played by Henry O.
Yeah.
Who I know I saw in other shows, but they escape me right now. Right, so you could tell that Chu kind of suspicious of Isaac. He think that Isaac do it, you know what I mean? But it was like, well, cool. You say you're gonna try to find the guy who killed my son. All right, cool, no problem, right? And while all this is going on, you're like, all right, but when Jet Li coming into this show, and then we finally cut to Hong Kong, and it's I know it's a late 90s to 2000 thing, Jet, but it's always kind of well, sometimes every time, well, especially they do it to the show, and it was really dumb. How every time they go to China, they have a scene in China, they always cut to this generic, Chinese music. Almost like they have to read and spell and tell you, hey, we're in Hong Kong. Let's have Chinese music play.
Yeah, is the Chinese or Hong Kong equivalent of accordion music for France?
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Like we have to set the tone, so let's play some generic Asian music because fuck you. That's why. But yeah, so Jet Li basically is a prisoner at this Hong Kong prison. And what we learn basically is that he was a cop and he is actually the son of Chu, right? And yes, the brother of, well, I assume the younger brother of Po. So while in jail, this new prisoner comes in, and while they're at the cafeteria, basically, he whispers in Jet Li's ear. Well, Jet Li plays Han, by the way. It's only later on we find out his name is Han, right? So he whispers in his ear, Jet Li flips out and picks his fight in the cafeteria. The guards can't beat him down, throw him in solitary. And then this really cool scene, he fights the guards there. And then we get the first of a few X-ray scenes.
Right.
Which I know I saw in other shows before, but in this one it was kind of cool because they gave it this sort of 3D X-ray kind of thing. So it's like, okay, see the guy arm get big.
Personally, I thought this was really goddamn awesome. So you get the thing at the time. Total dumb gimmick.
Yeah. It's dumb now when you think about it. It's really dumb. But when you watch it back then, it's like, what? You get X-ray vision and shit? Okay. So that was cool then. But what Doug knew was how he was able to, well, leave the prison, right? He knocks out a guard, he puts on the guy's uniform, he exits. There's this guy, he asks him to about some bet or some kind of that. But I also remember there's this one shot where this guard realizes that Jet Li escaped, and you see him running in slow mo, and then he just touches the alarm. Now. I remember that from the trailer itself. Like they just emphasize on that scene so much. And it's still a really like well shot scene in my opinion, right? So Jet Li escapes, and I could tell, yes, he's going to come to America because, of course, this is what we expect, right? And then when you're thinking, oh, where's Aaliyah and all of this? Then Aaliyah shows up, right? And she's working at this clothing store, which also they're selling tarts and they have a DJ there and some kids dancing, and I'm like, all right, what kind of clothing store is this? But anyway, Aaliyah is there, you know what I mean? And just right off the bat, she just have such, screen presence, you know what I mean? And she is really charming in this movie as well. To like, what you see is just this magnetic charm that she has there. Also, this was a person who like the first time I've ever seen this actor in a film, and won't be the last, of course, Anthony Anderson, who plays Maurice.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever saw him in a movie now, you know what I mean? And yes, he is the goofball character. He works for Isaac, so basically Isaac wants to make sure that she is, taken care of, that she's safe, that nobody trying to attack her because of what happened with Pona. And then we learn later on that he also has a son, right? Whose name is Cullen, right? And
Right.
essentially he just, how to describe him? Like he wants to be his own man, but at the same time he helps his dad out with the stuff with the kind of legal stuff that's going on now. But he's always kind of feeling pissed off because he finds like he's being treated like a child, and that's a thing in the movie, right? So Jet Li, or I should say Han, finally arrives to America. And then we
Right.
get this weird shot that I don't remember the first time seeing it, right? But it's essentially with him walking outside of the airport, right? And it's this kind of MTV style music video kind of shit going on. Because
see.
he's walking in slow-mo, and you see like everybody just moving in normal speed there.
Right.
And they making it look real dramatic and shit there. Like, no, this look bad. This look really bad.
Yeah, no, listen, that was something that the early 2000s could not let up, Dread. You see that nonsense, everything looking like a music video,
Yeah.
music style. And then, yeah, and I think around that time, that's when a lot of like music video directors was kind of transferring into films.
Right, correct. Yeah, you're right. Like when like Hype Williams,
Hype Williams, right,
did,
yeah.
like Belly, and when Benny Boom, who by the way has shot episodes of CW's Black Lightning hours.
Right.
I always forget that, but yeah,
But
so yeah.
it was kind of across the board. I mean, directors that we consider these masterworks now, they used to do music videos in the 90s. We boy Paul Thomas Anderson, right?
Yeah. Even David Fincher and all too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Not for
So yeah. So right. So that shot, this was kind of weird, but anyway, right. And then we cut to this scene where Aaliyah is at this sort of like a music / movie store, basically. And then we hear one of the big singles from the soundtrack called "Back in One Piece," right? And
Right.
still a dope song, but I always like the first time I ever heard this song, right, was in this movie. Because I never saw the video till like after the fact, right? And it stood like back then. It kind of stood out like how it starts with DMX saying, "You know what a dog needs? A dog needs a bitch, and not just any bitch." And you're thinking, okay, is this kind of like real rough to go into with a song featuring Aaliyah? But then again, it's the era and it's the music too, so it kind of works, right? But yeah, it was just a moment to just slip in the song, basically. Not really much going on. Maurice embarrasses himself, and there's this one shot though, and like I had to pause. I was like, wait, no, like clearly they didn't really realize how ironic this is, right? So there's this shot basically where Aaliyah exits the store, and right behind her you see a poster of R. Kelly's album R.
Right.
And I was like, nobody saw the irony in all of this, yes.
Time.
That's the time. That's the time. What I mean? It's just like, we just had to let people know, she was the the understory, the muse basically of Mr. R. Kelly, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
so while all this is going on, Jet Li runs into this Indian taxi driver. Is like, Reed, I need to get me in this dress. It's like, don't you understand English? I'm off duty. It's like, all right, well, fuck you then. So I just gotta hotwire your car. So he's inside the car doing this stuff, and then Aaliyah jumps into the back and is like, please just leave there. And then he says, I'm off duty. He's like, please drive, all that kind of stuff. And then they have this moment once again where we had to kind of let people know who Aaliyah is. Where, oh yeah, so by the way, her name is Trisha in this movie, right? Or Trish for short. Where Maurice comes out and says,
I'm gonna find you, Aaliyah looking ass. I know where you work at.
And I was like,
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Like, come on. Like, you know, let's stop the show to tell us it's Aaliyah. We know who it is, right?
It's a vanity project, let's admit that.
Yeah, it is. It's a vanity project, right? Yeah, so, of course, Lee can't, Lee just decides to drive her. Because, like I say, she just had that magnetic charm there. So, right off the bat, you see how, well, he's not, like, enamored by her, but it's just like, oh, he's whelmed by her. Not overwhelmed, but he's just whelmed by her, right? Not surprised, right? So, you can tell that, there's a little something going on. There's a little spark, and it's kind of cute and whatnot, right? Following scene now, is this restaurant scene basically, and we have Trish is there, and then Mac shows up, and then we learn that Mac basically tried to hit on her, and there was this line thread, and I know at the time they didn't really think about it. I'm not saying it's a terrible line though, but the irony behind that line though is really poignant and really kind of shocking. Well, it's really kind of incredible when you think about it. So while he's using all these pickup lines now because he realized that she just not giving him any time now. So it's like
you don't have a clue to what I'm about, do you?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Well, for starters, you gotta just get past the facade.
Facade? Well, you got some serious facade going on there.
Oh, well, so do you. So does everybody. And this Miss I don't need nobody isn't you. Not the real you. You saving yourself for Kobe Bryant or some TV dream dude or something.
And then when I heard that, I was like, wow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
think about how both of them died, both Aaliyah and Kobe. Like, wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, that could have just, the whole show that just come to a complete halt there. But it's like, no, at the time, it's like, it was neither here nor there, you know what I mean? But yeah, just the irony behind that line, though, was like, wow, boy. But anyway, right in this scene alone, though, you could tell that, yes, he does like her, but he can get aggressive when he's ready. He does kind of threaten her at a point in time, you know what I mean? But she still brushes him off now, you know what I mean? So right there is like, okay, I don't really like this Mac guy, Like at first we didn't really like him, but now I really, really don't like him because he was threatening to do some bad stuff to Aaliyah, right? So following scene is admittedly a fun scene, and it was fun when I saw it the first time. Today it is still fun, but yeah, this easily could have been cut out because it doesn't really add much to the show. The football scene.
Right.
Yeah, this is where Han, meets with Trish, and Trish love them kids there. So all them kids like, oh, he's cool, and let's get some ice creams and all that good shit, right? And then Mac is there, Mac and Maurice and their goons there just playing football, and they're like, hey, let's go and play some football. And he like, well, Han don't really know how to play the game because he's Chinese, so it's like whatever. And they, of course, they're taking advantage of him. They're giving him the ball and just, running him down and all that kind of stuff, tackling him down basically. And then he realized, oh, okay, that's all they're playing. All right, cool. So let me do some wushu stuff. Let me flip in the air. Let me actually do the spinning around in the air when we know you're on wires, and it looks kind of weird, And of course, Trish is loving all this. She's all amazed by all that kind of stuff. I like the last line where he says,
Hey, brother, American football.
But still,
right.
Admittedly, I don't know about you, but this scene easily could have been cut out though. It was just there to just kind of be like, hey, Jelly's cool and he could do cool shit, but it's like you could do it with a much more effective scene.
Okay, so Hollywood, 2000s and the 90s movies always have these. I don't know what it is. It's like a kind of slow down, humanizing, quote unquote, humanizing moment, but it's terrible. At the same time, just think of the basketball scene from Catwoman. That shit.
Oh yeah. Oh
you remember like when in Daredevil where they had a scene with both Daredevil and Electro like dancing but battling each other in the playground, that bullshit, same thing.
Oh yes. You gotta have that kind of cool moment to be like, oh, they could be
Right.
cool and that kind of vibe. All right, yeah, you're right. So the following scene, right? And I forgot to mention early on, this movie has a lot of glass being broken, a lot of characters being smashed through glass. Because the next scene here, you have Colin, right? He in the little penthouse, penthouse suite, smoking weed with the girl and whatnot. And he all like, my daddy don't like me, and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff, right? Then somebody rings the doorbell, girlfriend answers, and the following shot is just basically Colin and the girlfriend being thrown through adjoining windows, and you see them fall down the building into into the ocean basically, right? So they're dead. But and while it is still a very impactful scene then, because especially of how sudden it just happens, once again, it's just people being thrown through glass. Like, I don't know if it's just a thing, like an action movie thing in the 90s, but that's what it is, right? So, what?
No, it's just a shorthand.
Yeah, basically, right? So, next shot, of course, the police fish out the bodies. Isaac and Mac are there. Isaac is, pissed off, he's sad. Mac is like, all right, I'll help you find whoever do it, blah, blah, blah. Aaliyah comes in, she's crying, she blames her dad, because, she knows her dad's into some nefarious, illegal stuff. So it's like, well, Colin was in the middle, so he paid, basically, for your bullshit, right? Next scene, basically, Jet Li goes into Poe's apartment, right? Well, earlier on, he went there to kind of find out what was going on, right? And then from there, he finds, later on, I should say, he finds a slip of paper with these addresses, and then we learn there's all these, like, waterfront addresses and stuff like that, right? But yeah, he goes into the apartment, it's all smashed up and whatnot, and then he sees Aaliyah on this couch, I believe it is, crying, and then, she talks about, Colin's gone, because this is now Han learning about what went on. He didn't know that Colin was killed, but now he finds out, right? So this is how Jet Li pretty much gets involved in Aaliyah's dilemma, right? So following scene now, Jet, I keep calling him Jet. Han, he goes into he visits one of the addresses. It turns out to be this warehouse kind of place, but it's owned by a guy who is part of this, basically the family that his dad is working for. And I forgot to mention too, there was actually a really great scene where they had Poe's funeral and Jet Li shows up dressed in white. You know what I mean? I thought that scene alone was really great though, like just from a dramatic perspective. Him talking to his dad. There's also a scene with him talking to Kai, and they have a little sparring session afterwards just to show off, oh, I'm fast. I'm still fast. I haven't lost my touch. That kind of vibe though. So those scenes with Jet were great in my opinion, right? But yeah. So he goes into this warehouse place. Everybody's killed. Everybody's on the ground dead. And then you just see these two bikers, and they, about to, shoot at him and Trish. So they jump in the car. They escape. So you have a nice little, basically little 2000s motorbike / car chase scene going on. It's pretty cool. Right. Then afterwards they stop. One of the bikers, takes off the helmet, and then you realize not just it's a woman, but it's a Chinese woman, and you get this kind of cringy line.
You're Chinese.
No shit.
You know what I mean? And then you have a little fight scene there, and you kind of saw it coming, but it was in the trailer for it too, so I know it's gonna happen. Yeah. Jet Li's like,
I can hit a girl.
Look, I don't know how it is in China, but in America, for girls kicking your ass, you do not have to be a gentleman.
So basically, Jet Li kind of holds Aaliyah and spins she around, right round, baby, right round. You know what I mean? And using her basically to fight this woman. And then it ends with her falling back on like a sharpened piece of steel. And then they get the X-ray view again because, it just went right through her spine, basically. I know it's all fun and games, because, the fight itself is kind of fun, until she falls back, and then Aaliyah's like, oh, no, and then she just, leans over towards Jet. It's like,
It's an incredibly silly scene. Yeah, but you're right. It's silly, and then goes dark really fast.
Right? It was crazy. It was crazy. So afterwards, we get basically like the bad guys doing bad shit montage. So you have so just in case you wasn't sure what going on there. So you have Mac basically going up to what his friends who basically like collect catching crabs and stuff like that. He threatens him at gunpoint. He's like, "Yo, if you don't sell me, blah blah blah. If you don't sell me your business, we're gonna come for you, blah blah blah." Right? It's like, "Oh shit, you know, this man real ruthless." And then afterwards, you see Kai basically going to these Chinese guys who own this boat, and shooting them, gunning them down basically. And then then afterwards, sorry, you see his dad basically. Well, you see Chu basically being a badass as well to have these two guys in this freezer basically. Well, this meat freezer basically. Talk about, oh, well, me, the rest of the family wouldn't miss you, but you see, I'll be the only member left. Ha 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 ha. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing that missing is just the mustache. He wasn't twirling that. But basically, it's just to show that, yeah, these three motherfuckers are evil when you're ready, right? So, we have some later stuff afterwards where Isaac, being really concerned for Trish, and he takes her back to his old home, and you see her old bedroom, and he has a nice little father-daughter talk and all that kind of stuff. And then from that moment, you see Jet jumps in. I know, like, in retrospect, when you think about it, like, this would have been the Romeo, wherefore Adore Romeo moment. So instead of Romeo being outside, he sneaks in, and it's just, have them talking while they trying to, keep trying not to, arouse any attention. So that's kind of like, I just really get into it a little too much, but that would have been the moment if they had kind of played it out a little bit, better in my opinion. But it was kind of interesting to see that dynamic play out, right? So from there now we go back to the casino. We see Han and Trish go there. There's a nice little scene with the two of them dance. I was like, oh, that's cute. Like gently, like just getting into it and all that kind of stuff. Aaliyah, and the song that they played is "Are You Feeling Me?" So of course she had to lip sync the song while she's dancing with Jet. And I don't know about you, but I just find that was just like such a nice, like just a cute scene, like some so innocent, like oh.
It's 90s cheese, yeah.
Yeah, it is 90s cheese. Admittedly, it's 90s cheese, right? And then DMX is watching, basically zeroed in on on Trish, right? Through the security cameras, right? So he calls him up and he talking, basically talk about how, Isaac wanted to buy over the casino. Sorry, Mac was threatening him to buy over the casino because of the whole waterfront stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then, well, surprise, surprise, Mac shows up with Maurice, and, they threatened them with guns, all that kind of stuff. And then, well, DMX being all badass, like, I ain't selling shit. And the man just collect, like, 2 shots and die.
Yeah, no?
So that's the stop here. The funny thing is that the first time I saw this movie, it never dawned on me how little of DMX we got in the movie, yeah? But it's only, like, after the fact, it's like, wow, like, you were clearly wasted in this movie, Dre. Like they could have cast anybody else to be in this movie, but it's just I'm DMX and I want to be an actor and I did better, you know what I'm saying? So I want to be in the next movie, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like he wanted to do that shit there. But like give him more to do there. Like he's literally in 2 scenes in the movie. 2 scenes.
Oh, that's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, I know, like but once again the way how they market it. Like I'm not saying DMX was front and center, but still TMX is in your movie, like he was the guy there.
Yeah, that was the hype. It was like a big marketing pull. It's like, in the movie, you're right. But is in my head, that is what the pull was for me. It's like, dog, DMX and Jet Li in a movie together. That's like.
Yeah, you're right. So that's why I'm glad we have something like Creel to the Grave, where we have all of DMX. And of course, that shot with him on the ATV, just that X gonna give it to you. Sequence is just fucking awesome. I love that sequence so much. But back to so DMX is dead. So DMX is dead, and Trish is kidnapped basically, right? Jet Li's knocked out, and he wakes up. He's at this place. Maurice trying to be all intimidated and shit, and then DMX is basically like, "Let me go, or else I'll kill you, Trent." And man, like, we're laughing at him, call him, we call him dim sum and all that kind of stuff. Just trying 1 or 2, well, not racial slurs, but just these, Asian caricature, cliche kind of stuff there, right? And then we get really decentish enough fight scene. Although with a guy like say Jackie Chan, he would actually done it a lot better. Where essentially they do the whole thing where he uses what props is available. Sorry. So in this case, there's a fire hose. So I'm gonna take this fire hose. I'm gonna flip it around my chest and my waist and my leg, and I'm gonna beat you guys with the fire hose, and it looks cool. But admittedly, somebody like Jackie Chan would have made that way more kick-ass, in my opinion. And then afterwards, well, he goes after Maurice, and then, well, they both basically crash through a window, and, basically Jet Li's holding on to Maurice's tie, and then he somehow flips him over, and Maurice falls onto the top of a car. And that's like the last we see of him. He just says, Maurice, bitch, and that was it, right? That's the last time we see of him. Now we have the deal, the big stadium deal, basically. So Isaac is there, Mac is there, and then, well, things go awry. We realize that Mac was kind of just, well, he just don't like the fact that he just can't support the fact that that Isaac is going legit. So one thing leads to the next is a little scuffle. Isaac gets shot, and then, well, he tries to escape with money and, just a bunch of legal documents. So the guy who set up the whole deal, he tries to escape via helicopter, and you have, well, Mac basically on top of the roof shooting at the helicopter. And then from there, now, Jet Li shows up. Han is still under the impression that Mac was the one who killed Po, right? Who killed his brother.
Right.
And that's when Mac says, nah, that Chinese hit was all in-house, bro. And then he aims the gun at Jet, and that's when he says,
Sorry, Romeo, but you gotta die.
And I never forgot the first time I heard that. I was like, oh, like, young me was like, oh, that's why it's called Romeo Must Die. Because the hero isn't called Romeo, so what's the point, right? What's the point of that line? But, so the after fact is like, I wonder now if they just could come with a title for the movie and they just thought the whole Romeo and Die thing was cool. Because, yes, admittedly, Romeo Must Die is a very, very, very dope title. Let me get out the way. It's a very dope title. But I don't know, I just think like they just came up with it like in the middle of writing the scripts, like, what to call this, right? Okay, how about Romeo Must Die? Ta-da. Let's have a character say that so we don't get confused, you know what I mean? Right. So as he was about to fire at Han, Mac collects some shots to the back, and then you realize, oh shit, it's Aaliyah, because Aaliyah took up this gun, during the scuffle with involving the dad and Mac, right? It's like, word, okay, you know what I mean? And then in true, action movie formula, he falls to the edge and then leans over and falls. That's it, right? He doesn't scream, of course, but he says one line.
Damn. That's some cold shit.
Then he falls and dies, right? And then the following scene basically is, well, Han going up against Kai, because, we kind of realized that Kai was the one behind the scenes, right? So, basically he just kind of killed Po because of this whole power struggle shit, basically. It's not really quite explained, but, you kind of tell it's all generic stuff anyway, right? So you have this cool fight scene going on. I do like the moment where the place that they were fighting in, I should say the arena, catches fire. So you have this fiery background, you have this nice shot where Jet Li kind of walks out of the fire in slow-mo, real badass and stuff like that. They do the wild stuff where you see them in the air and they spin around and stuff like that. But I don't know, like, I could let that slide because they're both great in terms of just doing this fight choreography. And it works. It actually is a really effective, and climactic fight scene, you know what I mean? Because they need that. So to me, the scene works, right? And I like how it ends where basically Kai gets a blow to the head, like a kick to the head, and that just goes down all the way down his spine. I see the extra vision of it. I'm like,
but is it big shot? Yeah, because that was a big shot in the trailer. The two of them.
Right, when just jump up, like about to jump in the air, like a jump kick to the air.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when you see he kicked down his leg and then hit the top of his head and then it just break through, like, god damn, that was awesome.
Yeah, boy. that was brutal. I'll give it that. That was really, really brutal. Right? So yeah, so Kai is dead. He goes to his dad now, and there's a gun in front of him at this table, and he's thinking, Chu is going to kill his own son because of what went down, all that kind of stuff. And well, what
Right.
happens is that, and I don't remember it like line for line, but I like where Han basically says, well, I'll let fate decide what happens to you. You know what I mean? Because you just basically allowed your son to get killed. You know what I mean? And it was all business for you. And well, Jet walks away. They do the typical thing where the camera's on him. There's a gunshot. He stops, and they think, oh, Jet got hit. It's like, no, actually, the father just shot himself, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And well,
Yeah.
last scene basically where we finally hear try again is where the police come, and you see,
Right.
well, Jet Li comes out. He's all battered and stuff like that. You see Aaliyah comes in, hugs him, and they're like, let's go. And then the song plays, and
Yep.
that's the end of the movie in a nutshell. So for me, though, just to wrap up, Romeo Must Die. Um, this is as far as in terms of like Jet Li's filmography, this is a fairly decent film. I would say
Yeah.
it's one of his best films, like say, Hero, which is probably like
No.
up there. Like I love Hero so much, right? Fist of Legend, or Twin Warriors, aka Tai Chi. Like it's not
Yeah.
up there, what I mean? It's more Middle Road kind of thing. Like it's one of those shows basically you can watch on a Saturday night when you have nothing to do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if it's on TNT or whatever station, you can just check it out. It's no masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination because yeah, as far as action movies go, it is quite basic. It's quite generic. It doesn't do much as far as action movies go. The only sell basically is just well, we're getting to see Jet Li kick ass, and well, we have
Yep.
Aaliyah being the love interest, right? I
Yep.
remember I thought you would actually see like a relationship bloomed basically between
Right.
Aaliyah and Jet Li. And to me, that still is a drawback to the movie there because remember you're taking Romeo, you're taking Aaliyah, love
Right.
song. So I'm not expecting that they would go to bed together or sleep together or something like that. But still, let's have that sort of romantic vibe going on, right?
Right.
But
Well,
they
they had a little something enough just to put that in the brains of people. But yeah, they could have done a little more with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I don't know. Maybe to do that, you would have to delve a little bit deep into well Romeo and Juliet itself, the story itself.
Right.
And I
Right.
am glad that they did not go for okay, we're gonna recreate Romeo and Juliet. We're gonna have the two characters kill themselves in the end and let them be
Right.
literally lovers and the families fighting. Like I'm glad they didn't do that because, like I say, we had Baz Luhrmann's movie 4 years ago, right? But I do give credit where credit is due. I like how they developed the family dynamics between Jet Li's and Aaliyah's families. There's moments involving their family members, how they talk with each other, how they deal with the situation with one of the family members being killed. I really do like the moments where it kind of slows down in a way to have that family dynamic go on, right? For some people, they might find it drags because of that, but I do like those moments. Um, as far as the action scenes go, yes, they are well handled and stuff like that. I mean, they're basic. It's kind of like what you expect from early 2000s action filmmaking. Not too mind blowing, but it is what it is, right? Um, but still, once again, it's kind of by the numbers. But if you're going doing that, then it wouldn't really take you away from the movie that much. And just
Right.
in closing, before I get to rate it here, to me, at the end of the day, this still works as okay. Well, this is how 2000s action filmmaking was. This is how, like, if you forgot how big of a deal this movie was, when you kind of think about it now, it wasn't really all that big of a deal. But anyway, it still works. You know what I mean? It doesn't hold up as much as all that, but still, it's a nice slice of 2000s, cinema basically, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you
Right.
like your standard action movies, with a basic enough story, you don't have to think too much about it, then you'll like it. But if you want something like way more groundbreaking, this is not that movie for you. I do like Aaliyah's performance. I thought that she was great in this. I love the personality she had. And she didn't really put her all into it, but she just felt so casual behind the camera. I really dug that. Jet Li was fine as well too. Even though I wish there were more moments with the two of them kind of bouncing off each other, but he was that stoic badass character. But I didn't like that he was a softie basically. He was a softie for Aaliyah. And I mean, who could blame him, right? I wish there was more. There was more DMX. I wish that there were a bit more action scenes, you know what I mean, a little bit more impactful action scenes. But for what we got here, I mean, it's fine. Not the greatest show out there, but it's fine. So rating wise, I'll give this I like a decent 3. It's alright for what it is, right? Not
Yeah.
the best Jet Li movie out there. There are other better movies from him, most of which are Hollywood based. But you know, in terms of like just kind of showcasing what he can do, yeah, it's a nice like stepping stone there. And I'm glad that he was able to do more action films, right? And not just martial arts films that we grew up with, but more action films in the 2000s and beyond, right? I mean,
Right.
look at Expendables, for example. And you know, one last thing I just want to say before we get to your rating here, but you know, I would say though, because yeah, for some people this is a forgettable movie, but I do think it is significant in terms of well, African Americans, you know, and their fascination with martial arts. You know what I mean? And
Right.
Hollywood fascination with martial artists, you know, looking for the next big star. And, you know, here we had Jet Li, who had a moment or had a few moments with Lethal Weapon 4, but he didn't have a star in the role. And here we go with this, right? So, you know, you could kind of look at it from that sort of, from a historical perspective, you could say. And then also too with the you know with the popularity of hip hop music at the time, you know, with Timbaland's
Yeah.
music, with Aaliyah's music, so it's kind of like this time capsule of that era basically. It all all kind of culminates into this film here. So yeah, you know, no matter how you look at it, you know, as a slice of 2000 cinema, as oh, well, this is how hip hop sounded back then, or this is how big Aaliyah was, and DMX and Jet Li. Yeah, this is to me what Romeo Must Die represents. So, what
Oh
are
yeah.
your last words and rating on Romeo Must Die?
Yeah, yeah, you pretty much cover everything I would say. Yeah, it's a total time capsule of a movie. It's just just the zeitgeist, how things felt back then. Excellent marketing.
Yes, yes, yes.
And,
I wouldn't lie. The marketing for this was great. No, you could not
right.
escape.
It was
You,
one of
you
the
could
films,
escape the trailer, the poster, and of course the
right.
music, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and what they did is that they do the marketing by repetition. Like one of the things I was always I know people just dump on it, but I thought it had a pretty solid marketing campaign because it was a classic marketing campaign. Venom, right?
Yes,
You,
yes.
you make a music video and you're constantly reminding people that this movie exists. That's all you have to fucking do. Like, don't try to get all stealthy and clever and fancy with it. Just constantly remind you that your movie coming out, and that's your marketing campaign right there. And yeah, at the time it was Aaliyah really coming into her own as a big star. Hip hop infused culture in United States mixing with a lot of martial arts cinema and just it really felt like again you mentioned this black culture mixing with hip hop sorry with martial arts culture the next evolution of that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was pretty much that point. And yeah, it was as I mentioned a time capsule at the time, product at its time. A lot of it some of it doesn't hold up, but I it's a movie I have no problem watching over and enjoying to this day.
Same
Yeah,
here.
I don't know. I give it like a by modern parlance of film ranking, my kind of tongue in cheek film ranking I use. Yeah, I give it a movie town, like a solid movie town.
Right.
Fun, very silly but good, and just the fighting and action sequences. Again, some of the gimmicky stuff like the whole extra stuff was kind of goofy, even though Mortal Kombat currently just use that shit all the time. I think that's where it comes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my general take on it. I just enjoyed it for what it was. Give it like what I'll consider a movie tongue by today's standards. And yeah, it was just it's product at its time. It's a shame that Aaliyah could have gone on to become this big mega star by this time. But other people fill the vacuum like Beyonce or whoever it is, right? So we don't.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that being said, Ricardo, where can we find you online?
Passat RMEDDY, that is at RMED on Twitter. And then you could type in Ricardo Medina on Facebook and you'll find me.
All right. On Twitter, you could find me at Bear Beat Bailey. On Instagram, you could find me at Bears Beats Bailey. On Facebook, just look for my name, Matthew Bailey, along with the Legally Black blog, official fan base, where you find the link to this podcast. Well, including, of course, the Bears Beats Bailey podcast and, well, yes, Retrospect Reviews as well. So, if you have any thoughts on, Romeo Must Die, if you think it holds up, or you think it's trash, or you think it's just too generic, or you love this movie, or it's your favorite Jet Li movie of all time, feel free to comment below and let us know what you thought about it. And yeah, I mean, not much more we could say. That's it. So once again, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This was Matthew Bailian.
Ricardo Medina.
And we are signing off for another episode of Retrospect Reviews. So until the next one, take care. R.I.P. Aaliyah. R.I.P. Peace.